Welcome to the ARE 5.0 video test prep series. In this video, we'll take an in-depth look at the project development and documentation division. This division focuses on the integration and documentation of building systems, materials, and assemblies. An understanding of civil, structural, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and specialty systems is critical to coordinate the various elements of the design. You'll also touch on issues related to the development of design concepts, evaluation of materials and technologies, as well as the selection of appropriate construction techniques and documentation. You'll have 4 hours and 5 minutes to answer 100 questions in this division, which includes sections on integration of building materials and systems, construction documentation, project manual and specifications, codes and regulations, construction cost estimates. In the integration of building materials and systems section, you'll focus on resolving and detailing architectural systems and assemblies, building materials, and engineering systems. Let's look at a sample question. In the brick cavity wall section displayed, drag the material labels from the left into the boxes on the wall section detail. Not all material labels will be used. Here is the correct response. The wall section detail provided represents a brick cavity wall with CMU backup construction. This type of wall system is illustrated and described in architectural graphics standards. As part of this wall system, masonry ties are required to anchor the brick veneer to the backup wall. Through-wall flashing is required to divert moisture that has entered the wall cavity to the outside through weep vents or holes. The CMU backup wall supports a storefront system infilled with insulating glazing units, IGUs. The cavity drainage material is located in the airspace above the through-wall flashing to ensure cavity wall moisture performance, but is not labeled in this section. Metal coping, plate anchors, and Z-furring channels are essential elements of some wall systems, but are not part of this detail. This is a UA level item that requires you to understand the different components of an exterior wall assembly and how they integrate with other materials and systems. In the construction documentation section, you'll focus on the project documentation necessary to assemble a set of drawings and update these drawings over the course of a project. Let's look at a sample question. During the review of the 95% construction documents cost estimate for a hospital project, construction costs are estimated to exceed the funds available for construction by 12%. Prior to the bidding phase, what should the architect recommend to the owner? Incorporate design alternates into the documents? Eliminate project contingencies budget? Reduce the scope of the project? Here is the correct response. The Architect's Handbook of Professional Practice discusses these concepts as they relate to project execution. Incorporating design alternates into the documents would be advantageous to the owner because doing so would provide them an opportunity to modify the project design and ensure the project stays within the budget. This recommendation also allows the owner to select specific materials or design features after the actual costs are known. Project contingencies cover unforeseeable project conditions while addressing risk-related issues. Therefore, it is not advisable to eliminate these values. Reducing the scope of the project is possible, but can contain schedule delays and be costly for the architect, as this would require revising the construction documents. This is a UA level item requiring an understanding of how construction estimates can influence project documentation and how to address cost concerns prior to the bidding phase. In the project manual and specifications section, you'll focus on the development of documentation beyond construction drawings, the project manual, and specifications. Let's look at a sample question. Refer to the exhibit. An architect is completing a coordination review of the exterior materials with the specifications received from the consultant spec writer. Click on the element in the elevation below that is missing from the specifications. The correct response is the metal railing. Based on the Construction Specifications Institute's Master Format divisions, Division 5 Metals is missing from the table of contents provided by the consultant spec writer. This division includes metal handrails and railings, which are noted on the above elevation. The remainder of the exterior materials labeled are found in the specification list provided. This is a UA level item requiring you to understand the master format specification divisions and verify that materials shown on architectural drawings are properly specified. In the Codes and Regulations section, you'll look at codes and regulations at a detailed level and determine how they pertain to project documentation. Let's look at a sample question. Refer to the exhibit. An architect is designing an addition to an existing medical research building. An accessible route between the buildings is required on all floors. What is the minimum length of an unobstructed straight ramp system required to create an accessible route between the existing and new buildings on floor 6, including top and bottom landings? The correct response is 51. In order to calculate the minimum length of ramp required, you will first need to determine that floor 6 of the new building is 3 feet higher than the same floor in the existing building. Prior to performing a calculation, it is also important to understand that the ADA standards for accessible design permit a maximum ramp slope of 1 to 12, a maximum ramp rise of 30 inches, and a minimum landing length of 60 inches in a straight direction of travel. With this information in mind, you can determine that 3 feet of vertical rise requires a minimum of 36 feet of ramp length. Since the rise is over 30 inches, 30 feet ramp and 6 feet ramp sections are required, as well as 3 5-feet landings, bottom, intermediate, and top. Adding the 3 landing lengths and the 2 ramp lengths together will give you 51 feet, the minimum length required for the ramp system. Because the unit feet is provided after the answer box, only the numerals 51 need to be entered in the box. This is a UA level item requiring you to understand the ADA requirements and apply them to accessible routes in buildings. In the construction cost estimate section, you'll consider the construction cost of a project by analyzing an estimate. Let's look at a sample question. An architect reviews the construction cost estimate for a financial institution located in a cold climate. The contractor needs to reduce the cost by at least $26,000 and has included options that were presented by the curtain wall supplier. The building's energy performance is a top priority of the client. Which cost savings options should the architect consider? Check the 3 that apply. Change the tint of the windows from brown to gray, net savings of $2,000. Reduce the airspace from 3/4 inch to 1/4 inch on all IGUs, net savings of $13,000. Remove the interior entry vestibule, net savings of $13,000. Remove the low E coating from the window glazing, net savings of $12,000. Revise custom hardware to the manufacturer's standard hardware, net savings of $5,000. Revise finish from a fluoropolymer coating to anodized aluminum finish, net savings of $20,000. These are the correct responses. Since this is a cold climate, you need to recognize the options that may have a negative impact on the energy performance of the building, as well as those that will have little to no effect. According to fundamentals of building construction, materials, and methods, reducing the airspace and removing the low E coating will have a negative impact on the thermal performance of glazing system, thus reducing the overall performance of the building envelope and occupant thermal comfort. Removing the entry vestibule would increase infiltration of air into the building, also causing thermal comfort and building performance issues. Changing the tint of the windows, revising custom hardware to the manufacturer's standard hardware, and revising the finish to anodized aluminum are the most appropriate options to consider, since they will primarily affect only the aesthetics of the building. This is an AE level item requiring you to evaluate and compare architectural systems in relation to cost and impact on overall building performance. For more information about the Project Development and Documentation Division, refer to the ARE guidelines. Comments? Questions? Let us know. Be sure to check out the ARE 5.0 community for expert advice and tips from fellow candidates. And for more information about the content covered in each division and tips on navigating the exam interface, please watch our other ARE 5.0 test prep videos.